We would ask that please fill the seats coming down. We will be taking votes, and it's going to be much more efficient if we can do that with full aisles. So if you can please come down, particularly those people who went past our rope line, you guys could move down, we would appreciate it. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes. We have about a dozen more people being checked in, and then we'll get started. Everybody, please take your seat. Good afternoon. I'm Frankie Tack, Chair of the University Assembly. Having established a quorum of at least 662 members present in the theater, establish a quorum of at least 662 members present in the theater and online, the business of the Assembly will now be conducted. Should the Assembly attendance fall below quorum at any point, business will cease immediately, and the is being continuously monitored by the Chair of Faculty Senate Committee on Committees, Membership, and Constituencies, Leslie Cottrell. To continue introductions of those parliamentarian for this procedure, for this assembly. Somewhere is Dave Hauser. I think you all know Dave. He's here somewhere. Dave will be, who's our Faculty Senate Secretary, will be monitoring and certifying votes. We'd also like to thank the team of volunteers who are assisting in the lobby, in the theater, and online, as well as the staff of the Creative Arts Center and the Teaching and Learning Commons. The assembly is being streamed via Zoom to assembly members on the Kaiser and Beckley campuses, where member groups have been convened under the leadership of Cynthia Hall at Beckley and Donna Ballard at Kaiser, to remote assigned extension faculty, and to faculty who were granted access per the Faculty Senate of August the 28th. I'd like to note that we received approximately 242 requests for remote access, for which 239 were granted. At this time, we'd like to ask those online to turn their cameras on and remain visible on screen to continue to be counted present. On August 25th, 2023, the Faculty Senate Office received a petition containing the minimum necessary number of 5% of faculty signatures, all verified as members of the University Assembly, to call a meeting of the Assembly for the purpose of presenting two resolutions. Today's assembly has been called for that purpose and that purpose only. No other new business may be conducted during this assembly. The assembly will be conducted as follows. The resolutions will be addressed one at a time through motions presented, discussed, and voted on by the assembly. The members bringing resolutions will have up to 5 minutes to speak. A response of up to 5 minutes will be permitted on the first resolution. If a motion is presented, the question for a second will be asked. A motion may be seconded verbally from your seat. If moved and seconded, discussion of the primary motion on each resolution will begin with those signed up to speak, who will be recognized one at a time by name. After that list has been exhausted, those queued at the microphones, there and there, and with hands raised online, will be recognized in a rotating fashion. When recognized, please begin by stating your name and your college. Please address your comments only to the chair and not to others in the assembly. Anyone wishing to speak will be given a first opportunity before anyone may speak for a second time. Only 2 comments per person are permitted for each motion. Please remember that the purpose of discussion on a motion is to provide the assembly with additional information intended to help inform a vote. For those participating online, the chat and Q&A have been disabled so we can recognize and hear from members in standard order. Should a subsidiary motion and discussion ensue, the lines will yield to a new queue and those online will be asked to lower their hands. At the end of the discussion, the subsidiary motion and vote, hands may be raised again to be recognized on the original motion. Votes on motions will be conducted via raised hands. If the hand vote is too close to call, a count of the hands will be conducted. You will be instructed one at a time to raise your hands, leaving your hands raised until asked to lower them. Online members will raise their hands. Once voting and counting is complete, the final tally will be announced. Final voting on the 2 resolutions will be by secret ballot via the paper ballots you were provided at check-in. When the vote is called for each resolution, mark the indicated ballot for either Resolution 1 or Resolution 2, fold it and deposit it in the blue bin that will be passed down each row. Those online will be provided a link to cast their votes. The paper ballots will be delivered to the secretary at the front table, who will monitor the vote counting and certify the final tally. The assembly will be asked to remain in the theater during the count. The final tally will then be announced. Regardless of the outcomes, the vote results will be formally communicated tomorrow to the Board of Governors President Tanya Willis Miller, President E. Gordon Gee, and Provost Mary Ann Reed. Should you leave the assembly at any time and prior to paper ballot votes being taken, please give your paper ballots to one of the volunteers at the door. Finally, we ask that professional decorum and civility be maintained throughout the assembly. We will now address the first resolution. The chair recognizes Jesse Wozniak for the purpose of presenting the first resolution. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. This resolution has been sent out to everybody, so you should have a copy of it. But to sort of give you the highlights and what we're doing here, it's the proposed resolution of no confidence in the leadership of President E. Gordon Gee of West Virginia University here at the University Assembly. Whereas the University Assembly affirms the need for fiscal responsibility and a visionary leader who understands the importance of a comprehensive liberal arts education and the responsibility of the university to WVU students, as well as to the residents, taxpayers, and youth of the state of West Virginia. Whereas the University Assembly affirms the university values respect, transparency, inclusivity, and accountability. Whereas the University Assembly affirms the need to put the best interests of students first in our institutional decision-making. Whereas President Gee has mismanaged the university's finances while also refusing to accept responsibility for the current financial situation of the university in the following ways: falsely and irresponsibly claiming in 2014 and again in 2016 that he would grow undergrad enrollment to at least 40,000 by 2020 to justify expansion and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on projects that would increase WVU's debt load by 55%. Yet during his presidency, student enrollments have steadily decreased. Gee's presidency has corresponded with an upward redistribution of resources, while as student tuition has risen and the majority of employees have remained below market competitive rates. University debt has increased, senior administrative positions have increased, and senior administrators have been awarded hefty pay raises with little, if any, accountability for their performance. Whereas President Gee has failed to provide honest and transparent communication with the university community, failing to fully and honestly disclose the source of the budget shortfall, purporting it was largely a result of student population decline, but leaving out that significant contributors include poor planning, faulty decision-making, and financial mismanagement. Failure to clearly communicate how recommended cuts correspond to the larger goals of academic transformation, as he supported cuts to competitive revenue-generating programs and units that bring in millions of dollars to the university. Failure to fully and honestly disclose the impacts of these cuts and the broader academic transformation project on students and faculty, claiming that the measures are efforts to put students first and they will only impact 2% of students, when many more will be affected by reduced course availability, lack of access to a full and meaningful liberal arts education, negative perceptions about the value of the degree from this university, limited access to support as a result of remaining faculty and staff being overworked and overextended. It is claimed that the proposed RIFs will impact only 7% of faculty, when the percentage of full-time teaching faculty who are being laid off during this phase is closer to 16%, with many more affected by having to take up the workload of both faculty and staff who have been cut. He has said that the proposed cuts will keep keep young people in West Virginia when they are far more likely to lead to increased state departures as they limit young people's access to a comprehensive education, quality language education, global perspectives, and the option to further their education in much needed areas in state. Whereas despite claims to the contrary, the Gee administration has refused to carry out a transparent academic transformation that clearly communicates a future vision of the university, that provides stable and transparent criteria for cuts to program and personnel, that respects professional norms and significantly considers the expertise of faculty, chairs, and directors, that references the full scope of disciplines and practices associated with flagship R1 universities, and respects employee time and effort spent on mandated tasks. Whereas the Gee administration required all employees to sign new appointment letters stipulating that we avoid conduct that reflects adversely on the image. Sorry?
You have 1 minute.
Canceling our free speech. Therefore, be it resolved that the University Assembly of West Virginia has no confidence in President Gordon Gee's ability to responsibly, honestly, and effectively lead, facilitate, and participate in decision-making. Therefore, be it further resolved that the University Assembly of West Virginia University has no confidence in President E. Gordon Gee to continue to serve as the leader of West Virginia University. I move that we approve the no confidence resolution in Gordon Gee as written. Thank you.
Order, please. A motion to conduct a vote of no confidence in the leadership of President E. Gordon Gee has been presented. Is there a second? The motion having been moved and seconded, I now call on President Gee to come forward and make a statement. President Gee, you have 5 minutes.
I must say that if I had done all of those things, I'd probably vote no confidence myself. So I appreciate the fact that all of you are here. So let me just say a couple of things. First of all, I have great passion for this university. I think all of you do, and I appreciate the fact that we're all here today. And let me just say a couple of things. First of all, when we started this journey together in 2014, I really focused on 3 things. One was putting our students first, to be a fiercely land-grant institution, and to act as one university. And then we really developed a construct, which is education, healthcare, prosperity, obviously, and purpose. And so I've been reflecting, after the resolution, I've been reflecting, what should you expect out of a university president? Well, first of all, you should expect me to be very student-centered. And I can assure you that all the results of what we've been doing, the growing numbers of in our retention, in our graduation rates, our student success initiatives, we have had a number of prestigious awards and honors. In fact, we continue to do that. And I will point out to you, because I do this every Friday or Saturday night, I go out and visit with the students, and we have somewhere now over 500 different student groups that are available to our students. When we started in 2014, we had approximately 500 or 100. The second thing is our research productivity. I think that that's very important. If you're a university president, you have to take a look at that. Our research has grown, has doubled. In fact, I expect it to double again to about $241 million. And we became an R1 institution in 2016, and that was reaffirmed in 2022. And so by setting that record, we I think continue to make real progress. In terms of healthcare, one of the issues that we really focused on was healthcare for West Virginians. And so we've grown our academic medical center from a $2 billion enterprise to a $6 billion enterprise. We have bought 24 hospitals. We now can say to you, every person in this state, that they no longer need to leave the state to get great health care. And in addition to that, we have been first in the world in terms of a number of our projects, opening up deep brain stimulation, first to perform a fully robotic aortic valve replacement. We have just received $50 million from the state for our cancer research program. And of course, we opened a children's hospital, which is one of the finest in the country. So no one should ever have to leave West Virginia to get a great great healthcare. Fundraising, we have doubled our fundraising. In fact, we've nearly tripled our fundraising in a number of instances, $50 million. In addition to the record numbers of fundraising we've had, we've raised $50 million in our Dream First Student Scholarship campaign, and we've had record-breaking days of giving. On state relations, you should expect me to be very involved, and I am. In fact, on Monday, we'll appear before the Joint Legislative Committee, talking precisely about the issues that you have raised today. And since 2018, our base appropriations have now started to grow again. We did 2 things. We had a freedom agenda. The second thing is the fact that we have real growth in terms of support from the state for very special projects, such as our cancer project. Financially, I'm just going to say this. Financially, in 2014, I did say that my hope was to grow to 20,000 or to 40,000 students. And you know something, we were at 33,000 students then. And in 2016, I reiterated that because we had changed our structure. In 2020, we had a robust class coming in, so our growth was there. But the thing that I want to make very clear to you, and you have to understand this, we did not plan to grow the university on the basis of our budget. We planned with the hope that we would grow that and then our budget would follow. And you know, you can talk about the financial 1 minute. Well, okay. My freedom of speech, I'll exercise it if you know that. We can say this very clearly, and that is that as an institution, we never ever planned that regard. So so when you talk about financial issues, let's talk about it very clearly. One is the fact that we are audited externally every year. We have clean audits. The second thing is the fact that 25% of our board are made up of faculty, staff, and students. And so they have been fully involved in these decisions. And the third thing is, and the gold standard for whether or not we've been financially prudent is the fact that our bonding agencies have continued to give us great support, saying two things. One is that we have a very financially stable institution and we're doing the right thing. And secondly of all, that we have leadership that is allowing it to happen. And now I want to make one final point. You know, this is all about change. This is all about change. And I understand that, but I have great faith in this university. I have great faith in all of you. And I think that in the end, that we'll be a better institution, but we will proceed forward with what we are doing right now. And I think that we'll strengthen our institution for doing so. So I thank you all for letting me be here with you today. Thank you.
We will now begin discussion on the motion, starting with the list of those who submitted to speak. We begin by recognizing Tina Faber.
Hello, good morning. Tina Faber, School of Social Work, Eberly College, proud West Virginian. President Gee's tenure has been marred by a series of questionable decisions that have eroded trust and confidence within our university community. My colleagues have made a compelling case demonstrated here today, as well as in the anonymous blog. And no, I don't know who those colleagues are. The information I've obtained from there, as well as conversations, my membership as a faculty senator, and other sources led me to speak today in support of the no confidence vote. As faculty members who are affected by these decisions, I encourage those in this room and who are coming behind me to continue presenting evidence and dialogue regarding this vote. The success of any academic institution relies heavily on open dialogue and collaboration, which seem to have been neglected under President Gee's leadership. Through the protests, petitions, and this assembly, we send a clear message. We demand transparency, accountability, and a renewed commitment to the values that make our institution great. I believe we all stand united in the belief that West Virginia University deserves leadership that will prioritize the needs of students, faculty, and the broader West Virginia community. That vision has not been communicated by President Gee, in my opinion, and is why I stand before you to advocate for positive change and to uphold the very essence of our academic institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. The chair now recognizes John Brick.
Thank you for allowing me to speak briefly. My name is John Brick. I'm a faculty member in the School of Medicine. I've been here longer than most everybody in this room. I graduated from medical school in 1977 and then did my residency here and then went to the Mayo Clinic and did my fellowship. And so I've been here. I'm a product of West Virginia University. Everything hanging on my wall in my office, all the diplomas say WVU, except for my fellowship at the Mayo Clinic. President Gee is the finest president that I have ever worked with in this university, and I've worked with lots of them. He is clearly, totally dedicated to the land grant mission of this place and to improving the lives of West Virginians. And that's why we're here. That's what we're supposed to be doing. The financial difficulties that we have here are not of his, he didn't cause this stuff. He has had to deal with it. And it's very, very difficult to deal with things like that in this type of environment. He's done a fantastic job for us. I'm so glad he came back. I've known him since 1981 or 82 when he first came. And from my mind, he's been the best president of this university that we've ever had. And I would ask you all to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Britt. Chair now recognizes Laura Farina.
Hi, Laura Farina. I'm in the English department. I see that despite being promised that the administration would not be in attendance at this meeting, they're all here. So yet another broken promise to begin with. Nonetheless, I've got, I think, some words that they should perhaps hear as well as us. I hope most of you have been reading the articles in the Wall Street Journal, the Chronicle of Higher Education, and the Washington Post, so that you're already aware of the poor decision-making, obfuscation, and outright lying that has characterized Gee's administration. I want to use my time to inform you of my more particular experiences as one of the co-authors of the publicly circulated letters to the Board of Governors and as a member of a department under review. My experience with the Board of Governors is that even when scores of faculty communicate concerns about President Gee's reckless initiatives, the board is unwilling to engage these, essentially rubber stamping whatever Gee does. At the level of governance, then, there is no real restraint on Gee's administration. The only corrective can come from public outcry and protest by students and employees. Our students have done their part with protests and petitions. We need to do ours with a vote of no confidence. As regards academic deformation, I can give you all a sense of what your program is in for if you haven't had the pleasure of being reviewed yet. I say yet because without any curbs on the declaration of a RIF, we should all expect that the initial round is just the beginning. Our most popular and competitive graduate program, the MFA.
Laura, your
one-
time.
Is that up? All
If
right.
you'd like to finish your sentence, I'm okay with that.
No, I will end it there.
Thank you. I will call the next speaker in just a moment, but before I do, I would like to make it clear in no uncertain terms that I made no such promise. The chair now recognizes Kersha Trickta.
Thank you. I declined my time.
I'm sorry?
I declined my time.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes Lisa de Bartolomeo. Thank you, Lisa. The chair now recognizes Vinay Bardwa.
Good afternoon. My name is Vinay Badwar. I'm the professor in
Vinay,
the.
are you present?
Yeah, I'm joining you online. Can you hear me?
Online, Diane? Mhm.
Can you hear me online? I know all the people online can hear me, but
Yes, we can hear you, Vinay.
very good. My name is Vinay Badwar. I'm the professor and chair of the Department of Cardiovascular and Thoracic Surgery in the School of Medicine. I hear the passion of the faculty and of the resolution. I merely am not commenting on those elements of passion and fact. I'm just commenting on something that perhaps many of you may not know of. And that's on the value of Dr. Gee's contribution to healthcare. Echoing a little bit of what Dr. Brick had outlined, I'd like to take us back to 2016 and in about 60 seconds, go on a fairly rapid development. In that time frame, as part of our development in the School of Medicine, largely in healthcare, and starting with a signature line, which is essentially a subspecialization in cardiac care. We have grown to over 100 academic faculty. We've produced over 1,000 peer-reviewed publications. We present now globally all over the world. We've generated multiple grants and financial funding. And the success of WVU as a university, and we're recognized as WVU first, the Heart and Vascular Institute, which you may have heard of, that I'm pleased to have and a privilege to be chairing. WVU, through this mechanism, is now recognized over the world as a leader in healthcare and a leader in cardiac. All of this to conclude, and the reason I personally came here was through the cultural focus on mission and purpose, as does all of the faculty, thanks to Dr. Gee. It's his goal of mission and purpose, and that adopted by Dr. Clay Marsh and Albert Wright is the reason why many of us are here. And for that, I'd like you to
Vinay,
consider
please
that
yield, you're at time.
and why I oppose the resolution. Thank you.
Please mute, Vinay. Thank you. Yes, speakers have 90 seconds and I'm sorry, I just got past the note that I had forgotten to say that. So please excuse my faux pas. Everyone has 90 seconds except the people presenting the resolutions who have 5 minutes. Okay, the list having now been exhausted, we will now hear from anyone else who wishes to speak, rotating between our 3 queues.
Daniel Eads with West Virginia University Extension. I'm asking this as a procedural question in my role as a faculty senator. We got a couple questions this morning about people, whether they were or were not included on the list of eligible faculty. This was for folks who had administrative roles, but also had a faculty role. And first, I want to say thank you to Corey and the Faculty Senate office for working to get most of those resolved. So just for transparency, how was it decided whether administrators were or were not included if they also had a faculty role? Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to be careful with this term administrators because that means different things to different people. We do have membership guidelines in our faculty constitution. They also reference to BOG Rule 4.2. And the interpretation for us was that anyone dean or above is not considered a member of the assembly. Anyone reporting to a dean, to include associate provosts and below, is considered a member of the assembly. For extension, I think that was in the neighborhood of 140 faculty, give or take. Thank you. Appreciate you asking the question. Sir, are you waiting to speak? Yes, I recognize you. Thank you.
Justin Legleiter, chemistry. You can't deny that a lot of great things have happened at this university over the last couple of years. And I've been here for a while and I've seen it. And it's very noble that no West Virginian has to leave the state to get quality health care. That's a great accomplishment for this university. But our goal should also be that no West Virginian has to leave the state to get a great education.
Thank you. Order, please. Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard? The-
Good afternoon, Eugenia Pena Jeftohef, Davis College. Very hard hit by these cuts. So I would like to say something. When I heard President Yee speaking, he said very much we and our. He talked about research. He talked about our retention. I would like to know who has worked on the retention and the research. Many of the faculty are going to be cut or will be affected by these cuts. I think that's something that we need to remember, that we and our are us here.
Thank you. Anyone online wishing to speak? Is that it? Okay. With no one else standing to speak, at this time, we'll move to a secret ballot vote on the resolution of no confidence in the leadership of President E. Gordon Yee. Please locate your ballot for resolution number 1 and clearly mark if you are in favor of the resolution or opposed to the resolution. Once you have marked your ballot, fold it and deposit it in the blue bin being passed down your aisle. Those online, please utilize the link provided to cast your secret ballot.
We haven't been provided a link, those of us online.
Dave Hauser, please come forward to prepare for counting and certifying the vote.
Those of us who are online have not received a link.
Okay.
We still haven't received a link.
I don't think they can hear us. If some
The,
can
the
check
link
something.
says that the service is not currently active. So we cannot really vote.
I sent a email. Hopefully they'll see that since they can't seem to hear us.
So did I. I sent an email as well.
I sent an email as well.
Point of order?
I also texted someone who's in person to try to get some help.
I texted Diana Davis directly. Her number is in the meeting
They've been
chat if
notified,
anyone else wants to
and
do
it's
that.
being sent via email. Thank you. preempt the next point of order. We do understand there's still a problem. We're working on it. They will get to vote, I assure you.
This is quite frustrating. We still don't have the link.
I checked my spam folder. I checked everywhere.
Likewise, how difficult is it to send an email?
Yeah, it's
Still
exactly.
working on a repair for online.
Can the link be placed on the chat? So maybe we can access, if the link is posted in the chat.
No, it has to be personalized.
Okay.
Your
Okay.
email.
No, I'm not getting anything either. I mean, I checked my junk, my regular inbox, and I don't have the link.
They just put a message to wait that they are trying to fix it, and they will not end the vote until we have voted.
We've received the vote from Kaiser to Diana via text, and Davis confirmed that is coming from them, and Diana has signed to certify that that's accurate. So we're waiting for a fix to the rest. We think the internet is not letting the email go out. So if you are on your phone right now, one nice thing you could do would be to not use it for a moment.
It seems it just arrived.
Yes, I got it.
Me too.
We've received the vote from Beckley via text, which Diana is recording and Dave is verifying, and we're still working on the other problem. Again, it appears to be the internet is not pushing out the email.
I received the email and was able to cast my vote.
I did as well. I cast my ballot.
I did as well.
Same.
I have not received the email.
I have not yet either.
I have received it and successfully cast my ballot.
Me too.
I am here.
It appears the
Just to conf-
distribution list has finally loaded and deployed to those online.
Just to confirm, I also received the link and I was able to submit my vote.
I did not receive a link. Can anybody hear me?
I have not either.
If it helps, the email title is University Assembly.
At the top of your inbox.
Try refresh maybe.
I'll
Check
try.
the-
I'm in an airport. Okay.
Check
At
the
the top-
spam as well.
If you're on your phone on an Outlook app, click the other instead of focused. If you didn't do that, that's what I had to do to see it.
I'm in my office at Health Sciences and I have not received anything.
What do you mean by clicking on focus? Where is that?
If you're using the Outlook app for your email, at the top of the inbox, there's like one thing that says focused, one that says other. Mine came through on the other, but not on the focused.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Thank you.
I don't know if everyone's is like that, but that's how my Outlook is.
Is anyone in Health Sciences getting it?
No, I'm health sciences.
Yes,
I'm
I
health
got it.
sciences. I did
I
get it.
received it.
Yeah, I did as well.
Health
I
Sciences,
didn't.
I got it.
I have not received it.
I received Health Sciences
Ah.
and I received it and have voted.
Mine is in clutter. I just found it.
So I have a question. It says that as a member of the West Virginia University Faculty Senate, and it says faculty senators only on mine.
It's fine. I would just
Maybe a copy paste from the previous ones.
It said the same thing for me, but I just put whatever I chose.
I did not get mine yet. I'm in health sciences. I think I'm using an Outlook app on my iPhone. Anybody else not get theirs?
I found mine in clutter.
I looked in. I didn't find anything in clutter.
I'm Health Sciences and I received mine.
I'm Health Sciences and I haven't received mine. I don't have anything in my clutter and my internet is fine. I have not received it either from Health Sciences.
I have focused and other, and mine came in the focused for my Outlook.
Did people who haven't received it put their hand up, and people who have make sure their hand is down?
Oh, how do we do that? Okay, hold on. So it was put it up if you did not receive it, correct?
It's the raise hand, yeah.
Thank you.
Raise
This is
hand
stressful.
if you did or didn't.
Did not.
That. Raise your hand. if you
Did not. If you've already voted, put your hand down. You don't need it.
I'm not sure, but I believe the focused. I don't have it on my desktop, but I do have it on my phone. So I don't know, in the menus, those are going to be different with a mobile.
Yeah, I don't see anything focused or other.
I'd like to make you aware of a typo that we've discovered on the Qualtrics ballot that's being corrected. The word senator was used on the electronic secret ballot, which should have read university assembly member, and that's being corrected.
You might want to check your spam folders if you haven't yet seen it in your focused or your inbox.
They're correcting the senator typo. Does that mean we have to vote again?
I don't think
They
so.
said just ignore it, so I would just ignore it.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. We're almost there. We're gathering the last of the online votes. Give us one more minute. Ask everyone to come to order, please. The final vote, including all those gathered in Beckley and Kaiser, everyone online and everyone on this theater, is 797 for, 100 no, 8 invalid votes. The motion passes. We will now address the second resolution. The chair now recognizes Jesse Wozniak for the purpose of presenting the second resolution.
Thank you all, you beautiful people. We have another resolution that is calling for an immediate freeze to the academic transformation process. Whereas again, the University Assembly affirms the need for fiscally responsible institutional decision-making that is responsible to WVU students, as well as the residents, taxpayers, and youth of the state of West Virginia. Whereas despite claims to the contrary, academic transformation has been an opaque process where senior leadership has failed to clearly and honestly communicate the future vision of the university, the efficient allocation of resources therein, the precise budgetary and personnel goals for each unit to increase efficiencies, and why programs that are eliminated are of especially limited value. Whereas despite claims to the contrary, senior leadership has failed to honestly and effectively communicate how decisions are being made in the name of academic transformation and are data-driven, informed by stable and reasonable criteria, and in reference to the full scope of disciplines and practices associated with flagship R1 universities. Whereas the process of academic transformation has been carried out in such a way that severely deviates from academic professional norms and principles that are designed to preserve the integrity of the institution and discourage corruption, where the expertise of faculty, chairs, and directors are respected, employee time and effort on mandated tasks are respected, and faculty are meaningfully included in the process for determining whether a condition of financial exigency exists in the first place, the factors that led to it, and its potential solutions. Because the academic transformation process has been built on a foundation of dishonesty and misinformation, as outlined in the previous resolution, whereas academic transformation process has relied on ill-informed consulting and faulty data collected by for-profit corporations like RPK Group and Huron Consulting Group, both of which have reputations of charging universities and colleges millions of dollars before weakening tenure protections and implementing austerity measures like slashing budgets, cutting programs, and mass layoffs, while generally keeping senior administrative positions and their salaries intact. Whereas Again, the violations of free speech, whereas again, the misleading about the number of students and faculty that will be affected by this outlined in the previous resolution. Therefore, be it resolved that the University Assembly of West Virginia University calls for an immediate freeze to the academic transformation process. I move that we approve this resolution to freeze the transformation process as written.
A motion to call for an immediate freeze to the academic transformation process has been presented. Is there a second? The motion having been moved and seconded, the assembly call for an immediate freeze to the academic transformation process. We will now begin discussion, starting with the list of those who submitted to speak. The chair recognizes Tina Faber.
I yield my time.
Thank you, Tina. Chair now calls John Brick. Dr. Brick, are you present? Thank you, Dr. Brick. You have 90 seconds.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you the first time. My
It's okay.
hearing aids aren't working very well.
No worries.
I just wanted to say once again, and I understand the vote has occurred, but Dr. Gee's been an incredible president. I was tickled to death when he came back here in 1981, or I'm sorry, when he came back here a few years ago. And that this process has been, to my mind, what I've read about online and talking to people, completely open, much more open than I would have ever been expected to do. And I would ask you to support it. The Board of Governors supports it, and it's the right thing.
Thank you, Dr.
to
Brick.
do.
You're at time. Chair now recognizes Laura Farina.
I yield my time.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes Kirsha Trickta. Thank you. Chair now recognizes Dan Chotsky.
All right. Hey, everybody. Dan Totske, Eberly College. So I'm not really going to say anything one way or the other about the resolution itself, but just more about the language that is in the resolution. Right now, it just reads to, quote, freeze the transformation process. And I can make assumptions about what that means. But I just want to ask for anyone who put this resolution forward or anyone else to be more specific about what that means. The recommendations are out. So are we asking to nullify those recommendations? Are we asking to not make those recommendations to the board? Are we asking to just shut it down altogether? I imagine it's that. What are we trying to say here? Because it just reads freeze, or is it a frost, right? Throwback. But just to think of what that means. I don't have specific language for that, but I just ask that someone who was involved putting this together or who is more eloquent than me to put forward an amendment that specifies the language of the resolution itself. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Chair now recognizes Lisa DeBardo Mayo. Thank you, Lisa. Having exhausted the list, would anyone else like to be heard?
Hi, yes, my name is David Howinski, and I'm a teaching associate professor in the philosophy department. I'd like to say that of the two resolutions that we're considering today, I take this second resolution to be of the greatest importance. It's undemocratic and elitist what WVU is proposing to do. The idea that students here shouldn't have access to foreign language education, creative writing education, education in mathematics, public health, et cetera, is wrong. And it goes against the spirit of the Morrill Act, which was passed in 1862, which is what this university is founded on. And that law requires us to provide a liberal education and a practical education to the people. It's an attempt to democratize higher education. This has national and international implications. We need to fight this all the way. And instead of transforming the university by shrinking it, we should be looking to grow it and build more programs. Let's make a university where students can learn how to read the motto of the university, which is in ancient Greek, at the university whose motto it is. Thank you.
Yes, Dave.
Dave Hauser, Eberly College. Provost Marianne Reed has asked to be heard on this resolution. She's not a recognized member of the body, so we would need to vote in order to allow her to be heard. So as such, I move that the body vote to allow the provost to be heard on this resolution.
A motion to permit Provost Reed to address the assembly for 5 minutes has been made. Is there a second? The motion had been made and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. At this time, we're going to call for a count of the hands. We will be doing that row by row. Hands down. We're going to do it row by row. Row A. Does everybody know what row they're on? What? Okay. Please rise. Please come to the microphone.
Travis Steinman, College of Creative Arts. How is this vote being conducted for our online participants?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
How are the online participants participating in this vote? How are they?
Yes, as I said at the beginning of the instruction, the online participants are raising their hands for all votes counted and non-counted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Look to the end of your row for a monitor who will raise their hand when your row is called, since we don't know what rows we're in. Row A, all those for permitting the provost to address the assembly, please raise your hand. Wait, Emily. Lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hand. Row A only, please. Row A only, please. Oh, Lord, this is like getting a class to number off 1, 2, 1, 2. It's just impossible. Just write it down. Row B, second row. Emily, point to row B. Raise your hand. All for permitting the provost to speak? Hands down. All opposed to the provost addressing the assembly? Excuse me, row B only. Do you have a point of order, Rose? I believe your microphone is off.
Sorry. Point of inquiry.
So your point of inquiry does not have precedence over a vote, so we'll continue with the vote at this point. Do we have the count on row B? Row C, all in favor of permitting the provost to address the assembly, please raise your hand and keep it up.
According to the Roberts rules we were sent yesterday, it does actually.
One moment. Point of inquiry can be made if it is factual only. Please proceed.
So it's a requesting information. That is what I'm allowed to do. I'm requesting whether if we were to ask why Provost Reed would be giving 5 minutes, not 90 seconds, whether that should happen before the vote or after the vote.
The vote, the motion currently on the floor, the motion that was made and seconded that is being voted on is whether to permit the provost to address the assembly now.
Right, for 5 minutes. My question is, it was for 5 minutes. That was the motion. My question is, if somebody on the floor wants that to be the same amount of time as everyone else gets, so 90 seconds, should that be asked now or after the vote?
At this time, we are voting on the motion that it was on the floor and was seconded, and a vote is underway. And that motion was made for a 5-minute response. And I might add that it's equitable that 5 minutes was given to the person that presented the resolution. We are on row C.
With due respect, my question wasn't answered. I know it's annoying, but I just want an answer. I'm sighing too.
One moment, please. If you would wish to make a motion for a 90-second address by the provost, you could vote this motion down and then make that motion.
Thank you. That was my question. Thank you.
Rose. Have we completed row C? Okay, let's do row C from the top. Row C, please raise your hand if you are in favor of the provost addressing the assembly.
Do to them what they do to you. You don't get to talk.
Row C, all those opposed? Please put your hands down. Dave says we all have advanced degrees and could do this 2 rows at a time. Oh. May I ask for unanimous consent to move to a 2-row count? All right. Is anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Rows D and E. Rows D and E, your line people are pointing to your rows. Rows D and E, please raise your hand if you are for permitting the provost. Okay, you guys, please, let's stay in order and not holler across. Rows D and E, if you are in favor of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. Row D and E, if you are opposed to the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. Rows F and G, if you are for the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hands. F and G 4. Please lower your hands. Rows F and G, if you are opposed to the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. Row H and the center row, which I believe is I, but I'm not positive, rows H and I in front of and behind the rail. If you are in support of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hand. H and I. And please lower your hands. Those opposed, rows H and I, please raise your hands. Row, please put your hands down. Thank you. Rows J and K, rows J and K. All in favor of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. J and K, all those opposed. Please lower your hands. Rows L and M. All in favor of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hand. Please lower your hands. Sorry. All those in L and M opposed to the provost addressing the assembly. Okay. Please lower your hands. Rows N and O, all in favor of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. N and O, all those opposed, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. P and Q, all those in favor of the provost addressing the assembly, please raise your hands. P and Q. Please lower your hands. P and Q opposed. P and Q opposed. Please lower your hands. Okay, people with advanced degrees, all those in rows R and in the rest of the rows who are members. Not sure where our cutoff. Please raise your hand if you are in support of the provost addressing the assembly. R through the end. Please lower your hands. R through the end. Those opposed. Please lower your hands. Online, I've been aware that the yays were asked for, but not the noes. Will those online who are opposed to the provost addressing the assembly, please register your vote now by raising your hand. Please leave your hands up online. The vote on permitting the provost to address the assembly was 302 in favor, 406 opposed. The motion fails and the provost will not be heard today. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on resolution number 2, freezing academic transformation? Are you, is somebody? Oh, we have 2 online. What are they? Jennifer Walker, we recognize you now. Please unmute.
I did not ask to be recognized.
Okay, thank you. We're glad you're here. Online, chair recognizes Brian Broom. If you're attempting to speak.
All right, I'm not sure what's happening.
By anything for you?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Any neither, actually. Are you yielding your time or declining?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was caught a little bit off guard. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not entirely sure what's happening. Why am I being recognized?
Your hand was raised.
I'm sorry. I think I just left it raised. Like, I'm not real good with Zoom, so I apologize for any confusion.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? If you're getting ready to call a question, just give me 1 second and you won't have to.
That's a motion.
Okay.
So because of this, Jeremy Roberts, Chambers College, because it's lunchtime, I'd like to make a motion that once people vote on this next action, that the quorum be established at the moment of the start of the vote, and people may leave after they vote, and have the quorum still be maintained until the results are read.
1 moment, please.
I'm sorry. Started at noon. Had to get here after 11:30.
So thank you. We actually don't need a motion for that, but we are just going to say, feel free to leave after you drop your ballot in the box. Just be aware you will not be able to come back into the theater. Thank you.
Frankie, I would just ask if people could
Please,
stay
please,
seated. Dave Hauser, Eberly, I would just ask people stay seated while we collect the ballots, just so that we can make sure we collect them all. Then if you want to leave, that's fine, but we could use less chaos while we're collecting the
That's
ballots.
for any objection. Thank you, Dave. We will now move to a secret ballot vote on the resolution to call for an immediate freeze to the academic transformation process. Please locate your ballot for resolution number 2 and clearly mark if you are in favor of the resolution or opposed to the resolution. Once you have marked your ballot, fold it and deposit it in the blue bin being passed down your aisle. Those online, please utilize the link provided to cast your vote. And online people, please be patient. It may take a minute, as it did before, for that distribution list to load and send. No, wait, we're still in process. Please remain seated for just one more minute. Get those boxes up here. Are all the ballots on the stage now? Has everyone cast their ballot? Okay, you're free to leave. If you'd like to remain, I will announce the result when it's ready. And just so we're aware, the meeting is not adjourned. You're leaving under your own auspices. I'm happy to report the online voting is unfolding as it should. For those online, be aware we are preparing to close the vote. So come to order, please. The final votes have been tallied, including those in the theater, at Beckley, at Kaiser, and others online. And at this time, we have 747 for, 79 against, 9 considered invalid, and with a simple majority required, the motion passes. This concludes the petitioned and only permitted business of the assembly. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second, we're adjourned.